G'day guys, welcome back to the Fon Supercoach YouTube channel. Christmas has come early. The Supercoach Gold subscribers have access to Team Picker. So I figured I better make a video and pick a team. So yeah, welcome back. I guess this is the start of the 2026 season in a way. I will say this will be the only video that I put out until probably about Australia Day when we start getting some pre-season reports and the likes. But yeah, let's get into it. I will say I have been playing around a little bit today. A couple of things I've noticed. There's a lot of really good cheapies, rookie priced types. A lot of low value guys who are, they're high value, but they're cheaply priced, low priced, who have had many seasons in the system. And there's not a lot of premiums that I really like the value of. So we'll get into it. I have been playing around with it, but we'll see where this takes us. It's going to be a little bit manic. I'm just going to pick players that I think are good, and then we're going to fill it out from there. So probably the first player I picked was Hayden Young at 390k. I picked the guy at just under 500k 1 year, and he's going to have the same role. So it's a no-brainer for me. I think he'll be better than he was back then as well. And yeah, really looking forward to a full season of Hayden Young. Hopefully he can stay fit for the full preseason. The next one I had was actually a Ruck, which is Cherry. Now, we do have some new rules with the Rucks. So there's kind of two. You can jump. There's something about jumping. To be honest, I'm not really too familiar with the jumping rules. Cherry hasn't typically been a jumper, so I'm not sure how that'll affect him. But I presume this guy's still going to have high ownership because of those 3 down games he had during the year last year. So I'll just go with the ownership and pick him. The other ruck rule change is the last touch out of bounds, which according to, I think Ross Lyon told us it'll reduce throw-ins by about 3 per game. So it's not really going to affect rucks and stoppage mids, stoppage players that much. So yeah, Tristan Cherry was my next picked. Now I've got a couple of defenders. There's only 2 premium-ish defenders that I like. And the first one is Rosie. I just think he's priced under what he'll do. I think he's got 110 in him playing halfback. Gets a full preseason there, presumably. I think Carr was big on the move originally. Obviously, new coach, so there's a little bit of mystery there. Although I'm of the belief that Carr's been very active as a coach over the last couple of seasons with Port anyway, but that's beside the point. Thank you, Windows. So yeah, I really like Rosie as a more value-ish or as a defender premium option that provides value. So that's where I've gone here. The next one I have is Colby McKercher. So not premium price, he's a little bit under. But yeah, he just looks really good off halfback, and hopefully Clarkson doesn't have a brain malfunction in the preseason again and just leaves him there, because they need a little bit of that creativity off halfback. Hopefully he can kick the ball a little bit better this year. But yeah, so that's why I went at D2 and one of my first picked players. These are sort of the guys, apart from the cheaper guys that I picked at the start, there's a few others that we will discuss. I'm just going to go through by line now. We've got some of the expensive guys in. So yeah, next one I have is Miles Bergman. I'm going to talk about, once I complete a line, I'll talk about the other players that I haven't selected as well, because the watch list is quite lengthy at the moment. Where are we? Miles Bergman right next to Colby. So I think he averaged 108 or something in games where he had 50% or more CBAs. I presume he's going to keep that role. He looked pretty good there. Obviously, the body let him down at points during the year, but he looked good. I don't think... I spoke last year about how short Roberts and Perryman types at that price couldn't really hurt you. If Bergman has 110 in him, he probably can. Obviously, we weren't expecting short Roberts and Perryman to go 110. We were just thinking low 100s. But McKercher and Bergman can do that. So that's why I've gone there at this price. It is an awkward price, but again, we're hunting value in our starting teams, and I think these guys do provide value. And then what I've actually got from here in defense is just rookies. That means no Kitty Coleman, which I'll speak about in a second. But Zeke Hewland, again, don't know much, don't follow the draft. I expect this guy will play on a wing for a bit. Don't know if that role is good enough for him to. He'll need to go about mid-70s, low to mid-70s to make the required cash. Oh wait, no, I'm wrong. Low to mid-60s to make the required cash. So Not sure he can do that in the wing role, but from listening to him speak, he's one of the smartest AFL players I've ever spoken. He hasn't played a single game yet, so that's got to bode well for him. So I very much like Zeke Hewland. The next one I have is a Melbourne boy who's coming off an ACL injury, Andy Wakefield for 145k. Big watch during the preseason. Obviously, Jake Bowie's gone down. He's going to miss at least half the season, presumably a little bit more with a Liz Frank injury. Judd McVie has also departed, so the two players I expect to fill those voids are Andy Wakefield and the kid they drafted, Xavier Taylor, I think's his name. I haven't got Taylor in my team, but that's because I think he'll play more lockdown. But yeah, Andy Wakefield played a few games at the end of the 2024 season and was looking primed to take over a large portion of that back pocket / half back rotation for Melbourne before he did his ACL in a practice match. So he's definitely one to keep an eye on in the preseason. I do think he'll start. He's allegedly in good shape. It's very hard to know what to take from the track watchers, but yeah, I think he'll be a good option. The next one I have is Josh Lindsay. So I've picked this guy because West Coast don't really have a good kick in defence. I'm saying Tom McCarthy is not going to be a good kick in defence because I think he'll play in the midfield as he did at times in the back half of last year. Obviously, Yo is training back there, but Yo's body doesn't hold up much. I'm not going to pick Elliot Yo. If he gets to 600k again, then I guess shame on me because he's fooled me twice, but I'm willing to live with that fade. So I've gone Josh Lindsay. I think he'll play early. I think he's the type of player that West Coast need. He's not particularly versatile, but he is a quarterback type halfback, which West Coast has struggled with retaining possession at times when they've needed to. So I think he helps with that a lot. The next player I have is Josh Gibcus. Hopefully he gets a good run at it this year because he looks quite talented. We've spoken about Gibcus for the last 2 preseasons, so I probably won't do that to death. He should play at the start of the season. That's all I'll say. And then the last one I have is another Melbourne player, Jed Adams. So Stephen May was told to assess his options in the off-season. I believe that's because they want to play Jed Adams over him. I don't know a whole lot about Jed Adams. He did play that one game last year where he got absolutely fried by Norton and Darcy, as most key defenders do, particularly the young ones. So I won't hold that against him. What he does boast is a very good kick. They love his foot skills. So I don't know if that means he'll take kick-ins or anything like that. But he probably only needs 12 or so kicks to, make money for us, 12 or so kicks per game, which he'll probably get in a Melbourne defence that I'm anticipating, and a lot of others will have a lot more ball in it this year. So that's my defence. I guess I should mention some players I haven't picked. So the Saints boys I haven't picked. I think Nazia's probably max price. I think he'll cop some attention this year. I'm not sure how Ross is going to use him either. If he's just going to play that very piggish half-back role, then obviously he's going to be a decent pick. As I said, I do expect him to get attention some weeks, so that creates an opportunity to get him cheaper during the year. Sinclair I do actually like. He scored a lot more once Nazia was moved further up the ground. So he's an option you can get. It's probably not a huge amount of upside, maybe 3 or 4 points, but it's not a bad option, I don't think. Whitfield and Ash I am avoiding because of their bye. I'm not sure if that's correct. I will say I don't like Ash anyway because I'm not sure that the way the Giants used the ball last year in a very... I'm not suggesting they were stat padding, but there was a lot of sideways kicking and Ash he was blasting the ball as well at times. So I'm not sure they'll continue to do that this year is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, I don't really love Ash, but Whitfield's Whitfield. He gets it done. Clark, I don't mind, but I think you're getting what you paid for here, and I'm seeking value. Can't pick Zorko. I think he's going to be 37. Laird's too old as well. Dale's a frustrating own, and then the only other one I sort of like at this price range is Mills, because I'm a huge Callum Mills fan, but he always gets injured, and I'm not convinced he'll play midfield. So that's that, and then just sort of going down the list. I actually don't mind Tom McCarthy either. As I said, I think he'll play some midfield, but would like to see some pre-season footage of how that West Coast side is going to work. I could see myself going Tom Stewart again because I do not learn my lessons with Tom Stewart. I picked him at a higher price last year. Well, only 15 or so K. But I do think he's a good option again. That being said, I don't have him for now. We'll see how we go later on in the preseason. And then Sicily, I'm just not sure he'll get enough ball with all their ball users back there. So that's why I haven't gone there. I do like Fletcher. I'm hoping, obviously we're not wishing injury on anyone, but if something did happen to Zorko in the preseason, this is a pick I'd be very interested in. But I'm not sure there's enough ball for him down there at the moment. Because obviously, like Wilmot's the same problem. Are there any... I will mention Trent Withers, who could be playing a fair bit of midfield this year under the new coach. Melbourne's they're a bit of a mystery because we have King hasn't been at the club. We have no idea what the game plan is going to look like. All they've said is it's going to be fast and it's going to have a bit more flair and excitement to it. That's their hope. So I'm not sure if Rivers is training in defence or in the midfield at the moment. That's not information I have. But he is one to watch depending on his role in either position, I do believe. I think he's quite talented. So, keep an eye on him during the preseason. There's a few of these Melbourne guys who I do believe are worth keeping an eye on, particularly the outside types. There's another one I'll speak about shortly. Banks I do like. I think he's coming off an injury though. And I just think there are safer options. Nick Newman I haven't gone because the discount isn't as much as I would have liked to see. Let's have a look. Really couldn't do it to myself. But he is very valuable at that price, no doubt. Although Essendon have a lot of users back there now, so I'm not sure. Any of these guys even pickable? Not seeing many. I haven't gone CJ. I'm not sure he will get enough of the ball or use it well enough to make required cash, even though Bowie's out. Rampy. I'm not sure how many more there are here. I don't believe McVee will be getting anywhere near that 90 that he would need to be to justify the price. I have seen a little bit of Blackiston. He's allegedly going to be rucking for Essendon until Brian's back. He's just too expensive. If he was 80k cheaper, I'd entertain it, but he's too expensive at that price. Okay, Caleb Windsor, he's one I want to speak about. So I know it's early in the preseason. He has been training well. If this guy has a full preseason and a mid-roll that he was playing at the end of last year, I know it's a different coach, but I think he could be very interesting. I said before, Melbourne want to be fast and have flair. Windsor has both of those things, so I would have him on your watch list. I'm not saying he's a pick by any means right now, but I think he could go mid-80s if he starts accumulating more than he has previously, which apparently he is at training. Hard to say from training when they're playing against each other. But yeah, just one to watch. And then, do we have any more down here? There are some rookies that I might briefly touch on. I'm not sure if Duday plays. I'm not sure if Patterson starts in round 1, but obviously very talented. Grill's talented. We'll see if he plays round 1, if he has a good role. Dersma, hopefully it clicks for him this year, but I'm not sure. I'll speak about Farrow. I'll just pick Farrow for now. Farrow I expect to play, so let's just add him in the midfield really quickly. Farrow I expect to play early because he's a really good user and he has like a penetrating kick, and I think Essendon will want to get games into him early. I think a lot of Essendon's users in defence have been using the ball in a way that is not very forward thinking. I'll use that terminology. Basically, what I mean by that is it's a lot of side to side. I think Farrow will allow them to take the game on a little bit more with his penetrating kicks. Taylor I spoke about. I think he's going to play a little bit too much lockdown. Like Bo Allen, what role does he play when he comes in? Archer, probably too much lockdown, but probably not a bad option either. Who else have we got here? Rookies will become more... we'll understand rookies a lot more as the preseason goes on. They don't really matter for now. There's a lot of placeholders. Sarong, if he plays, will be good. Not convinced he'll play. This is another player I have on my mid-bench, Lachlan Carmichael. I watched a video with MJ from the coaches panel and Dylan Alexander, who's a draft guru. Dylan Alexander was very big on Carmichael, basically because the Dogs have had issues retaining the ball. Similar to what I spoke about with West Coast and Lindsay, the Dogs have had similar problems where they have all the talent upfield, but when the damn walls break, they absolutely get blown wide open for the Dogs, and they can't wrestle momentum back because they're not very good at controlling possession. Dylan Alexander was suggesting that Carmichael would really assist them with that. So he's in my midfield. I won't add him there yet. But yeah, he's one to keep on your watch list. I think he's a good chance to play early. And then yeah, that's it for defense. So let's just pick Carmichael for now because I've already spoken about him. And let's talk midfielders. So Bond has the bye. You can't pick someone over 700k with a bye, so we're not doing that. Zach Butters, lock him in. Doesn't have the bye. I'm trying to avoid bye players. I do have a couple. I have a few bye players here, but I do believe a lot of them are values, so we'll get into them. So the next one I have is Nick Dacos. His early fixture is bad. So this is probably one that I won't have later on as we get further into the preseason and the structure has to change because of rookies. But he's priced at 116. I think he can do more than that. At some point, he's going to be beating these tags. And they're going to stop. So that's going to happen sooner rather than later. Each year you don't back him in to do it is a risk you are taking. I backed him. I said he wouldn't do it last year, and I was right. But it was still a risk, and it's not a risk that I really want to continue taking. So I have Nick Dacos for now. I'll come back and talk about these guys after I've picked all the players. The next one I have is Sarong off a down year. I don't know. I just think he's a really good price. Doesn't have the bye. I'm backing him into... obviously, he's still young. He will have some natural progression in there. I'm backing him in to bounce back. I think a fully fit Hayden Young for the bulk of the season would help him. So I'm backing in Caleb Sarong to have a good season. The next one I have is Errol Goulden. Has the bye, obviously. But I think with Charlie Curnow there's going to be a lot more goal assists for Errol, because he has an absolutely lethal left boot. Obviously, he was coming back from injury during the year as well, so his scores are a little bit lower than they probably would have been with the full preseason and the games during the season. So I do like Errol Goulden at this selection. The next one I have is Will Day. Where is Will Day? Obviously, Will Day is made of porcelain and breaks easy, which is a shame because when he's up and running, he's very good. No doubt about it. So, full preseason, this guy will be in my side. I faded him last year. That was an incorrect decision. I got bailed out because he got injured. I'm not wishing injury on any player, and Will Day can score bulk Supercoach points. So, he's in my side for the time being. And now we're into the rookies. So, the next one I have is Dyson Sharp. He's touted as the ready-made midfielder in the draft. The Dons need midfield help. I'm suggesting he'll play early. And then I have Jagger Smith. Where are you, Jagger? The pick 3 from last year, coming off the ACL. I'm not sure what sort of mid-time he'll play, but he's obviously a talented player. So, I don't know, just pick. He's going to play at some point. Well, he'll play early as well, I think. And then the next one I have is Smiley, who's, I think, having another bout of surgery, which is a shame. High draft pick. You want to see these kids get on the park. Hopefully he does. If not, there's plenty of other good rookie options at this cheap price range, so we'll find someone. But hopefully he gets on the park. All right, players I haven't picked. I'm not expecting McCluggage to go anything like 120 again. I just think that him, Ashcroft, Neal, and Dunkley can't all score as well as they did year on year. Something's got to give. So I'm betting against McCluggage for that reason. Also has the bye, which makes it easier to bet against. But who knows, if we have another cyclone, then these Brisbane players are back on the menu. So that is what it is. And then Raul and Anderson have the bye. I actually don't mind Anderson at this price. I will say they have a very easy fixture at the start of the year. They just have the bye. If they didn't have the bye, I'd probably pick both of them just because their fixture's so good. And Raul he's proven that he can play out the full season at a high level. But that's why I don't have the Gold Coast boys. Smith has the bye. A lot of these guys I'm just not picking because they have the bye. I'm not sure Smithy's value either. So yeah, that is what it is. Dunkley has the bye. Not convinced he'll give you much more than 115. Obviously, 115 is pretty good, but that's what he's priced at. And then Brayshaw, he does not have the bye, and people will be keen on Brayshaw. I'm purely speculating here that I think with Young returning, that Brayshaw's mid-time, his CBAs will take a slight hit. I don't have the evidence for that. I'm sure if I went on DFS, I would be supported, but that is my speculation, that Brayshaw, his midfield clock will take a slight hit. As with the Brisbane boys, I'm not expecting all the Freo guys to score well, but Young doesn't have to do much to make money, so that's why he's there. And Sarong has to play in the midfield, so that's why I've gone with him. Dawson, I do actually like. I'm a big Dawson fan. He had 2 absolute stinkers in the first 8 rounds last year, which made him a bad start. I don't expect that will happen this year. He also had the cracked foot in the back half of last year, which may have been hurting his scoring a little bit. This is it's a pick that I like, but I'm not sure it's too much value. Maybe a couple of points. Obviously, he had that season where he went like 125 or something, but I do like this. And this is one that I could pivot off Dacos from to Jordan Dawson. So that's firmly in my mind. Then Hewitt, career season, not really expecting it to happen again. Cripps has had a down year. Finn Callahan has the bye, as does Ed Richards. 2 players who I would probably pick if not for the bye. But do like these picks. And then like Libba, Holmes, I think a max price. Tom Green, I think Clary doesn't help his scoring, but I'm speculating. But has the bye. Henny has the bye. Duke has the bye. Probably wouldn't go there anyway because of the role uncertainty. Merritt, I'm expecting to be a little bit disinterested this year. Again, speculating, so I wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole. But if we got normal Zach Merritt, who's interested, I think this is a decent pick. So just putting that out there. Sheasel will touch on in the forwards. Neil, no. I have been seeing Will Ashcroft a fair bit. What can McCluggage, Neil, Ashcroft and Dunkley all score between them? That's my question with these guys. Ashcroft is clearly going to be a Supercoach Uber Premium at some point in his career. I'm just not sure it's now with all the talent in that Lions midfield. That's why I am not picking him. But I couldn't fault you for picking him despite the bye. I do think there is value there, provided that those Brisbane mids can all score at the same time. Caldwell is interesting. Played 11 games, has some injury-affected ones in there. Should see a large piece of that Essendon midfield centre bounce pie. I think this is a sneaky pick. I don't have him in my side. I want to see some more data on a full preseason. But Jai Caldwell is one to watch. Sam Walsh, can he get over the back injury? Not sure. And then every other year I would pick this. Luke Davies-Uniacke at 5.30. And I said I didn't learn with Tom Stewart, but LDU is such a frustrating own that I'm just not willing to go there. If it looks like to use David King's language, if it looks like it's going to turn for North this year, which I don't expect it will, but if it does, I'll be interested in LDU because that, in theory, should help LDU scoring. They're just playing in a better team. We'll talk about Petrarca in the forwards. And then I have seen some talk about Horn Francis. It's just not somewhere I want to go without more data. Plays for midfield. Can he give you 105? Yes. Is that enough in the midfield? Probably not. It is value though. And then Jack Steele, I've seen a bit of as well. The thing with Steele is there's 2 things that matter with Steele. Firstly, it's role. Now he's moved to Melbourne to play midfield. He wouldn't have left the Saints if he had a midfield role there. So that's why he's gone to Melbourne. Based on Melbourne's midfield, it would make sense for him to play there. So I'm going to give him a big tick on the role. The question is the body with Steele. If Steele is fit, he will give you points. And he will be very valuable at that price. If he's not fit, he's probably overpriced. So that's obviously... We know what we're going to get from Jack Steele. That's all that matters. If he gets through to the end of preseason and he's selected in round 1... with no injury concerns, he will be in my side. I just want to see it first. I think Clayton Oliver will interest some people. Has the bye. I'm a big believer in Clayton Oliver this season. I think he'll have a revenge season because of all the stuff that was happening with him at Melbourne. I'm not game enough to pick him. I do think that him and Tom Green are B1 and B2. They're the same player. So I think they hurt each other in some way. He enhances the Giants' midfield because they were missing one last year, a midfielder. He adds that. I'm just not sure about Clayton Oliver as a Supercoach pick. And then, are any of these worth talking about? I'm not talking about Elliot Yeo. Don't even bother. George Wardlaw. I hope George Wardlaw gets going. I just don't think he will. Too many injuries for mine, so I wouldn't go there. Curtin. I think Adelaide need a big body midfielder. Is that going to come from Dan Curtin? Show me the preseason games, and then I'll consider this pick. I've seen some Harvey Langford. I'm going to be honest with Harvey Langford. I'm not expecting huge CBAs last year. He played the wing really well. And I'm just not seeing him getting into the CBAs much. Apparently Pickett, we'll talk about Pickett in the forwards because he's forward eligible still. Apparently he's playing full-time midfield. So if we're going to have Steele in there a lot of the time, Pickett's in there full-time. I expect Trent Rivers to be in there in some capacity. I expect Caleb Windsor to be in there in some capacity. Viney can't really play anywhere else. And then you've got Langford as well. Like there's a lot of centre bounces. There's not many centre bounces to go around a lot of midfielders. So that's why I haven't got Harvey Langford at the moment. And I am his number one fan. I promise you. He's my favourite player in the league and I'm massive on him. I'm just not sure this is the year he becomes the Supercoach Premium. Harley Reid I am interested in. But I want to see some evidence in the preseason games first. But he's firmly on my watch list. I don't know where Connor McDonald is, but apparently he's going well in the preseason and playing midfield. So there's one to watch there. That's obviously Cam McKenzie, but him, McDonald, and Ward are all sort of vying for that same position. So you would think one of them sort of takes it in this offseason, I would think. And then, who do we have here? Anyone interesting? Florence mid only, 330k. If he was cheaper, he'd be interesting. To go, he couldn't pay me to go there. Draw, we'll talk about in the forwards. Nah, I'm not going to talk about Cully. If there's some more, he's getting pumped up a lot on Melbourne Big Footy. That's all I'll say about Cully, but I won't go there myself. Damn, Campbell Chester got to 270k. Good for him. Then what am I seeing here? Mitch Nevitt's still cheap. So is Sardis. Oh my god, couldn't do it again. Dowling's good. I would actually consider. I would entertain picking Dowling at this price. He is good. I just don't know that he'll play. They did just extend Nix, so I think that bodes poorly for Dowling. But yeah, anyway, we're into rookies now. Dersma, I don't have at the moment. I'm just not sure. He's not an accumulator. He's very expensive. I don't know where he's going to play, so there's just too much uncertainty for him at the moment. Stevens showed that he could score, so he's definitely a watch. And then, all these guys could play. I don't think Annabelle will play, but he'd be a good pick in a bad team. Allegedly, again, I don't follow the draft. Don't expect Roby to play. Has a back injury as well, the poor kid. Don't know what Grill's role is going to be. Nick Cox, 134k. Does he get on the park? Probably a decent pick if he does. Sid Draper, I have him in my forward line. I have him in flex, actually. So let's just chuck him in now. I expect he'll play. He played 10 games last year. I think they were all as a sub. He's had a lot of time now. He's pretty cheap. High draft pick. I sort of expect him to play, if I'm being honest. I don't expect Will Brodie to play. I don't know why they brought him in. I'm just not seeing it with Will Brodie. And then, as we get down, obviously rookies I don't know much about. Does Finn McRae play? Who knows? Does Harry Schoenberg play? These guys might get opportunity at West Coast, but is it in the first round? Do any of these names jump out to me? Not really. I think Greaves was a massive slider in the draft, right? Maybe he gets a go. There was one. Dalton is apparently very Zach Merritt-esque. Maybe he gets a go as well. I'm not sure. Rucks. Let's just put in Gawn. I'm not massive on this Gawn pick, I'll be honest. There are value rucks that I like, but I've got cash. There's so many good value picks at the moment. I've just got cash. And the ruck line is a good place to spend cash because stuffing around in the ruck line is pain. It is just pain. And then I'm not going to talk about other rucks. I'll talk about a couple actually. I've got Reedy in here. Reedy is a plonker. We'll see how he goes though. I think Carlton's a team that might experiment with the double rucks. Sorry. So yeah, that's that. Grundy I would entertain over Gawn. I think Gawn's a chance to get rested this year at times. So we'll see how we go with that because I think Campbell and Heath are competent. They're competent enough that Gawn could take a rest in a year where we're probably not going to be playing for finals anyway. And then like Jackson's too expensive for mine, as is Cameron. I've seen a bit of English. English is a tough own, man. He's got to buy as well. Like it's just not somewhere I want to go. Marshall, TDK, both on the same team. There are some cheapies that I want to talk about. I think the ruck rules will be bad for Briggs. He's the one that I can think about that will maybe suffer. Potentially Darcy as well. So I don't know. They're ones to keep an eye on. Draper is very underpriced for what he can do. Well, not very. He's maybe 80k underpriced. He's got good DPP, so he's a good option if he plays round one and actually looks fit. Jeez, Nick Madden's he played 3 games last year. Good for him. If Witts goes down, I will pick Moyle as well, by the way. Actually, maybe Madden's a chance for primary ruck at the Giants. That's one to watch. I didn't talk about Sweet either. I don't know. He had a very random 200 last year, so I'm sort of not ready to say that he's a real option at the moment, but I could be wrong. Brian, I am very interested in. I'm not sure he comes back in time for round 1, but Essendon has been massive on Brian for ages. He's Tim English-esque, which means there is scoring pedigree there. 260 is a nice price. Just not sure it happens. And then the other one is the other Essendon ruck, Vigo Vicentini. He'll play early, but one of Vicentini and Blackstone is definitely not going to play when Brian's back. I presume because they're all young that they will go with 2 rucks. But I mean, maybe Peter Wright, just has to play ruck for 40% of games. I'm not sure how Essendon goes with that. Let's get into the forwards. Harry Sheasel, I think we had Josh Dunkley at this type of role previously. I don't expect Sheasel will be there next year, but I think he's just a no-brainer forward. I'm not convinced he's super value, but he's going to be a lock for F1, so just get him in. Other players I'm picking, I don't have Petrarca, but I'll chat about him soon. Actually, I've just got cheapies from here. So Sam Flanders. I presume most will have Flanders, so I won't touch on him too much. Hopefully his back's okay. Treloar is very cheap for what he can do. God, he's cheaper than this. Still cheaper. I don't know what sort of mid-time he gets, but you would think Treloar can give you 90 in his sleep, right? I think he's slept walk to 90 every single year, so I'm backing Treloar in until we see something in the preseason that doesn't look good. And then I have Connor Butterick, who's allegedly training in defence. I want to see this guy in preseason because he looked very average at AFL level, I thought, at the Suns. Role wasn't great, and obviously the Dogs do need some more defenders that can use the footy and defend. But yeah, we'll see with Butterick. I'm not sure about this one, but I've got him for now. Who is next? It's Saints boys. I did have Max King for 2 hours today until he's gone in for another knee surgery, the poor bloke. Hopefully he figures it out. Well, hopefully he gets his body right. He's figured it out. He just needs his body to stand up and withstand a full season. So fingers crossed to Max King. Hopefully he gets going next season. Mateus Filippo for 170k. He was a burn man last year, but he did have injury problems. He's clearly talented. We've seen the scoring. I think this is a no-brainer at 168k. Absolute no-brainer. So get him in your side. Liam Henry's on big money. Surely he's playing wing. What? He's on one wing. What's the dude that can run all day? Darcy Jones? No, that's the kid with the lid. Darcy Wilson. Too many Darcys. He'll be on the other wing. Sure, they brought Liam Henry to kick the footy and to play. He's on good money. Surely he plays, right? That's the logic with him. If he doesn't, so be it. I have Todd Marshall here, I have Todd Marshall because he's playing in defence, but I'd probably take the punt on this even if he was just playing forward. He can kick goals. He's not a bad kick. The concern with Marshall is obviously the concussion. Concussions are not soft tissue injuries. You're not expecting those to happen. So that's why I've gone with Todd Marshall here. There's plenty of other good options that we'll talk about soon as well, in case Marshall goes down, but hopefully he gets up and looks decent in defence. They tried Finlayson there last year, so I'm sure that Todd Marshall's going to get a fair crack at it this year, if I'm being honest. And then who do I have here? I have one of these West Coast blokes, Dev Robertson. Apparently he was tearing it up in the VFL. I have no idea. I don't follow the VFL. I know he's got a good rig, but that doesn't really count for much on the footy field. So yeah, we'll see how we go with Dev Robertson. Plenty of water to go under the bridge, obviously, with rookies. All right. Rankin misses the first week. Nick Martin probably would have been first pick for me if he didn't get injured. So hopefully he can recover and we'll see him in 2026. Petrarca I don't have. And that is not because I'm a sour Melbourne supporter. That is because I'm just not sure how many CBAs he gets. And the CBAs really help his scoring. Like, you're not playing him in there over Rowell and Anderson because they can't play anywhere else. And Petrarca's a good forward. I would think that Touk still gets at least half of it. Then you've got Bailey Humphrey as well. Alex Davies had a lot of CBAs last year and I thought was pretty good in there. I'm just not sure about the mid-clock for him. Pickett is interesting. Allegedly playing full midfield. Allegedly. This could be a safe top 6 forward playing full midfield. He's not value. He's going to have the odd quiet game, presumably. But it would be a fun own. And he's a talented player. So that's one for your watch list. Like McInerney, Graham, Bailey, you could probably pick these guys. I don't know if the midfield time's going to be good enough. Dylan Moore, I think he's underpriced. Again, not sure the midfield time's going to be good enough. My Lord, Jack Gunston is 466k. That is just not something I ever thought I would say. Bailey Humphrey, he's going to look good in the red and blue next year, but I don't think he's going to be an option this year. I don't think he's going to get enough mid-clock. I don't think I even mentioned him when talking about Petrarca, but he's another guy that's going to be in there. Toby Green, never again. Shea Bolton, nah. I don't know. I don't see how Fraser gets into this Dogs midfield, but if he did, that would be enticing. Not a great price, though. And then, I could see Max Hall taking another step. Obviously, he was an elite rookie last year, but I could see him going 85. Probably not enough to justify picking. Who knows? I spoke about Draper before. And then, how many of these are good options? I spoke about Connor McDonald very briefly before. He had very good junior numbers, so he's one to keep a watch on, I reckon. Joe Richards? Oh, no, that's not who I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of Joe Berry. Okay, sorry. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. Who from these players do I like? Not seeing too many, I'll be honest. Alright, keep going. Oscar Allen's probably too expensive. Again, couldn't pay me to pick Jordan Ngoe. I thought Brent Daniels would be cheaper. I still don't hate this pick, but a 300k, his body is... he's struggling with his body very clearly. He had a 200 last year that really spiked his... Was it last year or the year before? I don't know. He had a massive score that spiked his scoring at some point. I don't know. He is pivotal to the Giants being good. I will say that much. I don't hate this pick, but I haven't got it for now. All right, I'm not seeing too many more here, so I might talk about some cheapies for the watch list. I've seen some Cody Waitman. I don't think you can pick a small forward at 230k. I've seen some Jamara. I was under the impression that Jamara would not play at all next year. He's just spent that much time out of the system. I didn't speak about Tanner Bruhn. I've seen some Tanner Bruhn as well. I would assume that he's in a similar boat to Jamara, where he hasn't been in the system for a year, so he's going to be out for some time. Obviously, we'll see with some preseason action, but yeah, I don't have Jamara in the team for now. I think he'll be good up there, Jamara, but yeah, not sure about it this year. And we're just in rookie territory here. I think Judson Clark's injured, unfortunately. Again, another ACL for the poor bloke. George might play. I've been reading some things about George. So he could be one to keep an eye on. Luca Kentfield is someone I expect to play at some point in the year for Melbourne, but not at the start. Finn McRae, Supercoach legend. Shane McAdam is 119k. I don't know if he'll play. River Stevens, what a name. Oh, they didn't pick Wes Wally, by the way. What's the go with that? He has the best name I've ever heard of. I think this guy was a huge slider in the draft, but I wouldn't expect him to play early. Yeah, not seeing much here. So, yeah, that's what I've got for now. Let's just get them in the price order. Yeah, this is what I've got for now. Obviously, plenty of water to go under the bridge, and you probably won't see me until training camp start in the new year. So I appreciate your time watching, guys. And yeah, I'll see you in the new year when we get into some more preseason. So yeah, thanks for watching. See you later, guys.